Imagine this with me. A 4-year-old picks up a leaf, traces the tiny little veins with absolute awe, and asks, "Who drew these lines?" Just as the world was about to open for her, an adult, yes, an adult says the most common sentence in modern childhood. "Not now, we are getting late." In that hurried second, something invisible happens. Not a tantrum, not a tear, but a tiny collapse in the child's mind. A spark dimming before it even becomes a flame. Richard Feynman once said, "I would rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be even questioned." And yet, we are raising our children in an environment where even questions actually feel unwelcome. For years as educator, I have worked with children, parents, and educators across classrooms, living rooms, and learning spaces. And yet, I have realized something beautifully heartbreaking. Children are born curious. Adults aren't killing it intentionally, for sure. But we are killing it accidentally. Not out of neglect, but out of speed, out of pressure, and out of thinking that curiosity is extra, when actually curiosity is essential. Now, moving forward, do you know that a toddler asks 200 to 300 questions a day? By age 10, a research from University of Michigan shows a flat 60% decline. And by adulthood, the average person asks fewer than 10 genuine questions a day, and that too, most of them are just transactional. So children do not lose curiosity. You, me, we all systematically train it out of them. Sometimes with silence, sometimes with the pressure to do work, and sometimes with what we all love saying to our little ones, "because I said so." Common phrases that really feel harmless for us being adults, but feel like rejection for a child. "Not now. Stop asking silly questions. Why do you keep on bothering me again and again?" We don't have time. The tragedy, my dear friends, is not when a child comes to you and asks strange, silly questions, but it's rather the day they stop. And that day is silent. Do you know that neuroscience tells us that more than 1 million, yes, more than 1 million new neural connections form every single second in early childhood? Curiosity activates the hippocampus, the dopamine system, and also enhances learning by up to 30%. When a child asks why, the brain isn't just being annoying, but it's rather building infrastructure. Curiosity is biology, but not just somebody's behavior. So when you say no, you just don't pause a question, but you rather interrupt the developmental stage of the brain. Now, let me share a story with you all today. A boy and some birds. A boy once asked his teacher, "Teacher, why do birds fly in a V?" To which his teacher responded, "Sit down, that's not in the chapter." Years later, the same little boy, my dear friends, turned into a wildlife researcher and discovered that the V formation helps bird conserve up to 20 to 30% energy by riding each other's upwash. He once told me, if someone would have answered me back then, I would have started my journey a little early. This is not a story of failure that I'm talking about, but it's rather a story of delay. And delay is what millions, yes, millions of children experience every single day. What do we reward the children for? Sitting still, the way you all are, right? What do we reward the children for? Sitting still, following rules the way we do, correct? How about memorizing tons and tons of answers? Coloring within the lines. But do you actually think that the future belongs to someone who follows rules? Or maybe colors within the line? No, the future actually belongs to questioners, experimenters, makers, and most importantly, everybody, learners who are ready to explore the unknown. Now, let me ask you all a question. When was the last time that you asked a question that you already did not know the answer to? If it takes you more than a few seconds to remember, understand. You did not lose curiosity, it was actually trained out of you. So, if we all want our children to thrive in the world of AI, uncertainty, and constant changes, we should shift from answer-based education to question-driven education. For years as educator, I have worked upon these 3 actionable strategies, which are simple, practical, and research-backed, and I would love to share it with you all today. Firstly, replace judgment with invitation. When a child runs towards you and maybe asks a strange, silly question, rather than saying, "Why do you keep on bothering me again and again?" try, "Interesting thought. Tell me more." This is just a 10-second shift, but it quadruples engagement. Secondly, why not we try creating question-rich spaces? Homes, walls, schools often display what? Rules, regulations, routines, schedules, but never questions. Why not we start up with what surprised you today? And do you know, even a research from Stanford shows that question-rich spaces increase the creative output by 45%. Thirdly, institutionalize curiosity, not just merely hope for it. We all sitting here have the power to build the system. Question journals instead of just homework diaries. 5 minutes of ask me anything than just the teacher talking throughout the day. Wonderwall. And how about everybody? Curiosity badges instead of just scholars badges. So when the curiosity becomes structured, the future becomes more sustainable. Now picture this with me. A world where each and every school begins up with, "What did you notice today that maybe others missed?" Homes have conversations, not commands. Each and every child grows up believing that their questions are not interruptions, but rather their superpower. Now let's go back to the girl with the leaf. The leaf that she had in the beginning and the veins that she noticed were not just merely lines on the leaf, but maybe they were rather her paths into creativity, imagination, biology, art, science, and whatnot. And all she needed was an adult who could have said, "I really loved it. Come, let's talk about it. We'll study about it." When curiosity gets channelized, we give the little one the power that can even change the world. Curiosity is the engine behind every discovery, every invention, and every tiny little dream. When you silence a question, you silence the future. And when you ignite the little one's mind, what do? You give them the power that can even change the future. So, my dear friends, do not quiet their curiosity, but rather amplify it, protect it, and most importantly, everybody, celebrate it. Because the biggest risk that we face today is not the children making noise, but it's rather the children turning silent. So before I end up my talk for the day, let's all sitting here and in the entire world try making a new world, a new space for our little ones where each and every child gets an opportunity to be a thinker, explorer, and ask as many as possible questions. Thank you.